So, I watched Lady Ballers. Apparently, so did Shoe. And I'm curious because I liked the movie. It was all right, and I'm gonna tell you exactly what I think about it as she's telling us what she thinks about it. Whoops, forgot I'm not using my headset.
So I spent a few
There we
days
go.
lurking around the internet looking for reviews of the Daily Wire's new movie, Lady Ballers.
In a world where women's sports is being transformed, the Daily Wire calls foul with the most triggering comedy of the year.
It seemed like it would be pretty triggering. I don't know of anybody that hated the movie except for people on the left. So, because people on the right, you either loved it or you thought it was all right.
Lady Ballers.
And I could not for the life of me find one that was even remotely neutral. They were either very progressive people talking about how the
Well, here's my neutral review. It was eh. It was just slightly above mid.
movie was awful without actually seeing the movie, or right-wing Daily Wire fans saying it was a great movie, the best
I'm not a Daily Wire fan. I'm only a Brett Cooper fan.
movie ever, even. The Rotten Tomatoes score does not help much because you have to be a paying member of the Daily Wire to watch the movie. So I decided, f it, I'm gonna review it.
Don't tell Daily Wire this, but I got it from the Pirate Bay.
Also, I've heard from several different little birdies that Jeremy Boring, the creator and main character of this film, is a fan of mine. So, hi Jeremy, if you're watching this, I'm sorry. No, I'm not. So let's just quickly get into like a summary of the movie before I give my personal opinion of it. The movie opens up in 2008 and we see the main character, played by Jeremy Boring, coaching a high school basketball team. His team is
Okay, I'm just gonna say right off the bat, this guy right here, I like him in real life. He comes on Timcast sometimes. I didn't like him in this movie. I didn't like his character, and I didn't like the Dylan Mulvaney joke because it wasn't really a joke because he was just playing Dylan Mulvaney. And it's hard to parody something that's already a parody.
school basketball team. His team is down at halftime, but he gives a speech in the locker room and leads them to victory. Fast forward to present day, and Jeremy is now a high school teacher and a divorced dad. He has a good relationship with his daughter and seemingly is friendly with his ex-wife, and even her
That Matt Walsh character, if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend because that's the best character in the movie.
her new boyfriend. And in this house we believe type lib, played by Matt Walsh in a wig. In a blink and you miss it scene, Jeremy's character is fired over the phone and looks for new employment. He returns to a store he used to work at.
I did miss that. I didn't know that. Wait, he got fired? Hold up. I thought he just was trying to make money. I didn't know he got fired.
Which has been turned into a drag bar. There he sees one of the guys who played on his basketball team all those years ago, Alex, wearing a wig and working at the restaurant. Jeremy convinces Alex to join a running competition for some reason, but Alex forgot to take off his wig from work, and then they think he's a trans woman, so they enter him in the women's sprint instead. Going against women, Alex obviously dominates the competition and wins the prize money. Alex and Jeremy decide to get the old basketball team of has-beens back together in order to qualify for what is basically the Olympics or something. They convince them pretty easily by explaining that they will be winners again if they dress up like women and compete against women. Predictably, they dominate the women's teams and make their way to the championship game. At the championship game, the opposing team shows up and is composed of entirely big black dudes, also
And this chick right here, She's not the best at acting. I think the best actor in the entire movie was Jeremy. And he still got some weak spots. It was kind of weak. It was about, I'd say this movie was about on par with Basketball on terms of how actually good the movie is. Nowhere near as funny.
Pretending to be women. Jeremy has a change of heart and tells the team what they've been doing is wrong and substitutes his team for his daughter and his friends. They lose big time, but Jeremy and his ex-wife and all the team are happy.
Yeah, garbage ending. Very garbage ending. And there wasn't anything funny about the ending. It just ended up falling flat. Because why would it? I felt like they didn't know how they were going to end it. And they were like, you know what? Let's just have fun with it and let the kids have fun. Which, cool, the kids had fun. But it doesn't work for a movie.
For doing the right thing. The end. The whole movie was kind of sold as like, remember when movies were offensive? Remember humor? And if I'm being completely honest, this movie lacked in both humor and offense.
Sad thing was, it was still better than all the other comedies that came out this year. Because I can't name any of them. I don't know what comedies came out this year.
Talk about the humor first, then
so
we will
it
talk
wins
about the
by
offense.
default.
We'll return after these messages.
Whenever some big controversy happens, it's always hard to get some unbiased coverage of what exactly is happening. That's why for almost 3 years now, I have been using Ground News. Ground News is a website and app that gives readers an easy and
That's a long ad. No thanks.
for sponsoring this video, and thank you, the viewer, for not skipping the ad.
Aha.
I was not quite sure of the tone this movie was going for. When I first saw the trailers, I thought maybe it was gonna be like a spoof or a parody of like...
I think it was trying to go for Basketball. I think whoever made this movie, I didn't pay attention to who actually made it, but whoever made it was going for Basketball. I'm pretty sure. For those kinds of vibes. Kinda got it, but once again, nowhere near as funny.
Like early 2000s comedy sports films.
Yeah,
like the trailer
Basketball.
had the font and the slapstick and the announcer guy.
Or the
Rob
comebacks.
Schneider is a carrot. Like I kind of thought it was gonna be a more self-aware, ironic type of movie, a la Zoolander or Tropic Thunder or something. But from the
Oh man, I wish it would have been as good as Tropic Thunder. Tropic Thunder is one of the best comedies ever made.
beginning of the movie, it was obvious that was not happening. It just kind of felt like a Adam Sandler movie. Not like 90s Adam Sandler, not like Uncut Gems.
It felt like a modern Adam Sandler movie, but one that he would be a producer of, not that he'd actually star in. It'd be one of those movies that he'd put in David Spade and what's his name? James, the fighter, Joe Rogan's friend.
Gems, Adam Sandler, but like Jack and Jill Adam Sandler. I guess I had higher comedic expectations for the Daily Wire for some reason, but every time the movie tried to do like actual movie things and movie humor, it was bad. I went in thinking the political parts of the movie would be the corniest and the worst parts, but they were actually better than when the movie tried to be a movie. A lot of the jokes were
Yeah, the actual political stuff. I agree. The political stuff was pretty on point. The actual story of the movie, garbage.
extremely predictable and like jokes we've heard millions of times. The comedic timing on a lot of the jokes was awful. Things just lingered for a really long time. The pacing was all over the place in this entire movie. It felt like it actually skipped some scenes because something would happen and I'd be like, wait, like why did that happen? Did I miss something? No, I didn't miss something. That was just thrown in there, and it kind of just felt like they threw them in because they remember like, oh, this is supposed to be a comedy. Also, something like randomly exploded and I had no idea why.
It was a trap. Okay. L for shoe on this one. The guy was crazy and booby trapped his house. That's what that was. Moving on.
I still have no idea why, but I did laugh. I laughed 3 times. Once was when Matt Walsh's Lib character was trying like way too hard to be a good ally, and he was like, I see you. Because I've known people like that. We've all known people like that.
That's why I think he's the best character. Plus, there's a twist at the end. I know a couple people like that are straight, that like get girls, and let me tell you, the girls they get are not the same girls that I get.
The second time was when Jeremy Boring called his ex-wife a TERF, because I don't know, it was just kind of funny to see that word in a movie. It was just kind of like jarring. Third and final time I laughed was when Michael Knowles and Brett Cooper were the newscasters. Increasingly, every time it cuts back to them, they're trying way too hard. They're like overcompensating to look not racist, not big.
Yeah, and their gross characters were based, as in they were based for playing these characters. I forgot that that's what they did in this movie. I forgot Brett Cooper had cornrow braids. And I gotta say, changed my mind. I like this movie a lot. I will definitely give it a 6.5 out of 10. Which is the same score that I would give, like, I don't know, 50 First Dates.
Bigoted. And Michael Knowles goes, get off my land, white man. And I don't know, the comedic timing was well done for once. Maybe I was just deprived and starved for humor at that point. But it did get a laugh out of me. Humor is subjective, so I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of like slapstick. It's like, oh, a man in a wig gets punched in the balls. A lot.
I like slapstick. This movie just didn't do it very well. Basketball. I keep going back to that because it's an obvious comparison. It did slapstick very well, especially the scene when what's his name? Trey Parker. He turns around and does a scary face and the tentacles pop out. That shit, that gets me every time. It's a good one.
A lot of the jokes were already outplayed years ago, to the point where I was honestly surprised they didn't throw in that clip of the crying Hillary supporter somewhere. Also, Jeremy Boring is a BDSM sub through the whole thing. He's constantly like being slapped and licked and tied up by women through the entire movie. So that was interesting. Quentin Tarantino.
I think he's secretly got a fetish for those kinds of things, most likely. Oh, I didn't even, okay. Didn't even look at the screen. I was just saying.
Moment. Let's talk about the offense part.
I know you're not a woman.
Hey, you don't know how he identifies.
Like I said, this movie was very oversold as this boundary-pushing, triggering commentary.
With the most triggering comedy of the year.
And you would honestly think that by reading, like, left-wing news outlets, like, both sides were selling this movie as this, like, super edgy, offensive movie. But it really wasn't. Like, yeah, some of the jokes
It was barely above mid, like I said.
were like, trans people, am I right? But they weren't very clever or funny or new. I'm not one of those people who think we can't make offensive jokes about certain groups of people. Of course not.
I think a really good joke that they could have put in there was they could have had a trans character, like a male that is pretending to be a female. But the twist becomes, at the end of the movie, that it was a female the entire time, and they were all wrong. That would have been great. I haven't seen that in a movie yet.
In fact, I think that's a big part of acceptance. I feel like it's fair game to make fun of everyone. Gay, trans, straight, disabled, man, woman, black, brown, Asian, normal. Nobody should be off the table. But despite the outrage
White
and
people
the
is
hype,
normal.
this movie was kind of
I like that.
milquetoast. Honestly, the people calling it like super bigoted and transphobic are giving them way too much credit. And maybe I'm just really online, but I've seen trans people make jokes on Twitter about trans people that were more edgy and offensive than this movie. I'm just saying, if you're going to sell yourself like this, I'm not expecting jokes like my boomer mom would make. I'm not expecting jokes that I made in 2015. You know what I mean? Also, a lot of the jokes aren't gonna age very well. There was a Dylan Mulvaney, like, Bud Light joke in there. Like, in 10 years, like, is anyone gonna remember that? I don't know. It is a really big deal to them.
I don't know, some stuff's going crazy with Dylan Mulvaney right now. People probably will remember. Because apparently the government's getting involved with Dylan Mulvaney, and he just got a passport that says he's female, or the entire world. Now the entire world thinks that he is female, which they didn't ask the entire world that. Because I guarantee a lot of people that are like, oh, this says female, but you are obviously not female. He can't go to like any of the Middle Eastern countries or Asian countries except maybe Korea and Japan. They ain't gonna let you live there.
So maybe. Honestly, South Park did a way better job at tackling this subject. And one of the things South Park does
everything better. South Park doesn't count because they're just goated at this point. They can just make whatever they want, as dumb as they want. It doesn't matter anymore. It used to matter because they used to actually try and make things that are just really good. And now they don't have to do that because everything they make, they've figured out this formula that they can just make fun of literally everything. No holds barred. And they won't get canceled. Because not only, they make fun of the left, the right, the middle, the anarchists, they make fun of everybody. Christians, atheists. Nobody's safe. That's why I love South Park. Because they haven't had a miss in a long time. I don't even think that the Integrity Farms was a miss. Because I always say that everybody needs a little integrity.
very well is make fun of
All you need is a little integrity.
sides, which this movie never did even once, and I think was a huge problem, and I think held it back a lot. I understand that this is basically just a Daily Wire fan film. Like, this was just a movie for the fans. This was just a movie for the people that want to see Ben Shabibo, and they want to see their guys. They want to see their favorite guys. They want to hear the two gender jokes. Say! But I feel like they really could have thrown in some jabs and some jokes about conservatives or the right. I feel like being more—
I don't even care. I think we just need some more comedy movies so people can actually have something to compare to. Because Lady Ballers, it doesn't have any other comedies from today to compare to. They had to go back in time to make something similar to what has already happened. Because, you know, with comedy, it comes in like decades, where you'll have a style of comedy for 10 years that people work off of, because that's just the way the culture is. But everybody's too serious now, so you can't have comedies. So you have to go back in time and make comedies for your fans, because the media and the critics, they're not going to like it. You're going to offend somebody because jokes are offensive.
self-aware would have made this movie more grounded and possibly funnier. Maybe have like an in-universe Daily Wire who are making YouTube videos and live streaming about the situation at hand. Like, maybe one of the commentators from the in-universe Daily Wire confronts the team, and the team has to pretend to disagree with them, like, I don't know what you're talking about, bigot. Maybe even make the character Ben Shapiro. Like,
that would actually require some talented people to make movies. These people are like news anchors and journalists. They're not really good at making movies. They did pretty good, though, for who they are and what they made. I will give them that.
have Ben Shapiro play an exaggerated
It's better than that
version
new
of
Joker
Ben
that's coming
Shapiro.
out.
I don't know, I feel like it was missing something like
Trans
that.
Joker.
All the jabs at liberals were so cartoonishly over the top that it almost felt like I was scrolling through cat turds. Truth Social page. If you're going for this universe where everything is amped up to 100, everyone's just a walking stereotype, I think it would have been a good move to go a little bit South Park, because otherwise—
I will give her another L, because in my town, there are a lot of people that are walking stereotypes like that. I know a girl that she does have pins all over her jacket or shirt or whatever she's wearing, or her hat. She's got pins everywhere. There's like rainbows, gay, LGBT. And different colored hair. Her hair is really short, like above her jawline. It's crazy. People are crazy. There's a lot of those types of people, even around here in my small town in Arkansas.
You're just kind of being like any of these other Hollywood things that pokes fun of just the right, but like the opposite. And if you want to stand out and attract a more like normie, sort of apolitical, swing voter demographic to your movie, I feel like you gotta be a little smarter and more self-deprecating with your jokes, or else you're just the same thing we've seen 5 million times and we're all tired of. Like the old Dodgeball movie and like those old comedies from the early 2000s, they were not targeted towards a certain demographic, they were just targeted towards people who wanted to laugh. And I feel like this movie could have been done that way, but it was just way too politically charged on one side. Of course it was. Again, it's the Daily Wire. I get it. I'm just adding my opinion, what I would have done. Apparently they only worked on this for 6 months. The production value looks fine, but it really shows in the writing. You can have all the money and make a decent looking film, but money can't buy you talent. They needed to get some actual comedians or comedy writers in on this, which might be hard because nobody probably wants their name attached to the Daily Wire. My advice to the Daily Wire crew is if you're gonna make political comedy in the year 2023 when like everyone's like sick of this bullshit, they're sick of the culture war, try to poke fun at both sides. Maybe hire Ryan Long to help you on the next one, because she got
a point there with people being sick of the culture war. I think the culture war is about to come to an end just abruptly with no major conflict, because people are just tired of it. It's just going to get shut down left and right. Whoever brings up culture wars, done, they're out. Which I think Timcast is going to have to change their whole deal, because they're all about the culture wars. Tim Pool even has a show called Culture War, and they're going to have to change that model pretty soon, because when Civil War or World War III breaks out, we're not going to be playing identity politics anymore. We won't have time for it. We won't have money for it. And it also requires people to be connected. And people are going to be way less connected, especially if our infrastructure comes under fire and we start losing internet and power everywhere, and people are going to be stuck at home. And that means that the people around them can't implant that mind virus into them, to whatever mind virus it may be. There's lots of them, to completely make them crazy and adopt these weird things that these people do, like killing their own children.
pretty good at that. And maybe I'm just yearning for something that is that, and maybe it doesn't exist and will never exist. Oh well. Also, this movie didn't feel like it had a real ending. Out of nowhere, his daughter is feeling insecure and says, I want to be a boy because boys are better than girls. And Jeremy Boring goes on this whole like motivational speech how like actually like women are great and they're great at raising families and femininity and blah 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 blah. But it feels—
No, that's not what he said. He said boys are better at all of these physical things. That's what he said, which is not true. There's so many physical things that women are better at than men at. But the ones that cater toward men being better than other men, women are terrible at it compared to men.
So out of place and unearned. It felt like a completely different movie out of nowhere. Like maybe they should have shown the daughter overhearing Jeremy's plans to like make his team dress up like women because men can beat women. And maybe the daughter starts to feel insecure when she overhears that. But that didn't happen. It just kind of came out of nowhere. It just became like female empowerment. Daily Wire gone woke. That's also the thing, like every time this movie felt like it was becoming a movie, it just ran away from it. For example, one of Jeremy's team members sees the opposing team of women like crying and being upset because like they beat them, and he starts to have like second thoughts and a change of heart and he feels bad. And I remember being like, oh my god, it's becoming a movie, something's happening. And literally like a minute later, that's just gone. It's gone. Yeah. It's just, it immediately moves on to more overdone jokes about trans people and libs and jokes I've heard from funnier people 7 years ago. And that's the biggest thing. There were no stakes in this movie. Like they could have—
Yeah, and like nobody really learned their lesson on anything except for maybe Jeremy's character, but it was a shitty lesson that he should have known the entire time. And the guy, the main guy in the wig, the one that was running, that he met at the bar, that used to be his student, I guess. He gets a lesson learned, kinda, where dude's like, hey, we're gonna get you some help. And the guy's like, shit, I guess I'm getting some help. Because he starts to actually turn trans, because he pretending to be a woman makes you pretend to be a woman. I don't know. Some people that does happen. And then that's it. It's all the lessons.
Have made it so Jeremy Boring's character was about to be evicted or something. Like, they could have shown him living in a really shitty apartment. Maybe he's losing connection with his daughter, and his daughter thinks he's a loser who never wins at anything. But there was really nothing driving this motivation for him to win this competition besides
Money.
winning. I didn't feel bad
No,
for the
no,
main
no, no, no,
character.
not winning. Money. It was like, what, $30,000 they were playing for?
I really was not rooting for him. He was kind of a dirtbag. I didn't find myself like wanting him to win or the
They're all dirtbags. If you're wanting to, that's a big problem with this movie. There are no redeemable characters. Even the mom, the most chill character through the whole thing, is an idiot, and she's the one dating the weird Matt Walsh character that's like a libtard.
team. Like, there was nothing likable about these people. Matt Walsh's character was the most likable character in this
True.
movie. Matt Walsh. And believe me, my favorite show is Always Sunny. I love when characters are dirtbags. But in Always Sunny, the voice of reason is the audience. The characters are
Those dirtbags are also very redeemable, very, very likable, very friendly people. I don't see a time in this entire movie where anybody's like being friendly to somebody. It seems like they're always just like doing things with no like actual interaction happening other than to progress the plot forward. There was no like actual good character development and good problems happening other than like, dude has to win $30,000. These guys need to be girls.
the butt of the joke. The characters here were not the butt of the joke. It just completely dropped the ball in so many different ways. No pun intended. In conclusion, if you are a fan of The Daily Wire, this movie is definitely for you. You'll point and soy face at the cameos from Ben Shapiro and all your favorite guys. You'll agree with all the jokes. You'll be spoon-fed everything you agree with. This movie's just one big circle jerk pandering to you, and I get why that would be enjoyable, so bone apple teeth. But for everyone else, I honestly don't know. I feel like it being behind a Daily Wire subscription really hurts it. Like, you guys should really make it available for everyone to watch.
Yeah, they didn't get my money. I got it for free off the Pirate Bay. And I don't regret it. I'm glad I did not pay money for that. Because if I would have paid money for it, the score would have went from a 6.5 down to like a 3.5. Because it's not worth buying a subscription to Daily Wire for.
So we could be the judge. I watched it with my husband, who is a conservative, and he had a very similar opinion to me. He basically just liked the Michael Knowles cameo parts. I mostly found myself just rewriting this movie in my mind after every scene was over. And I guess it's because I myself miss, like, goofy, stupid, edgy movies. Remember when you could say but this was just kind of nothing. You shouldn't blindly trash it because of political reasons. I think it's possible to think a movie's pretty good even if you don't agree with the politics in it, and you shouldn't blindly defend it because of political reasons. You shouldn't blindly defend it because it owns the libs. I'm gonna eat this pile of shit because the other team hates piles of shit. Also, Michael Knowles and Matt Walsh and all these guys have been doing reaction videos to critics of this movie, but I highly doubt they'll do one of mine. I don't think I was triggered sufficiently enough. That is my review. Have you seen it? What did you think of it? If you didn't see it, what is your favorite offensive movie?
Actually, I think that if the Daily Wire guys and girls, Brett Cooper, watch this, Candace Owens. I don't know if she's still on there or not. Ben Shapiro might have got her fired from that weird fight that they had a little while ago. But I think that if they watched her review, they would probably agree with her that it was a little bit above mid.
If you like this video, please consider donating to my Patreon. It helps the channel a lot. Link down below. And I will see you guys soon with a new video. Bye! Merry Christmas!
Merry Christmas, Shoe. I don't think I'm ever going to do a Patreon. I set one up, but I don't like Patreon. I'd rather use something else like Locals or I don't remember what the other one's called. Subscribe Star, maybe? I don't know. That's a long ways down the road. Anyway, Lady Ballers. Not very good. If you're not watching it for a reason, I don't recommend watching it because it's not that good. If you're just extremely curious, I guess, then go ahead, check it out. It's definitely mid, a little bit above mid, 6.5 out of 10. As a free movie. If you pay for it, it's not worth it. Don't pay for it, please. Unless you just like really want to give them money. Which, sure. I don't disagree with most of Daily Wire. I just disagree with a lot of their moves that they make and a lot of the media they decide to make, like their music. Timcast is doing better. They covered one of their songs that Daily Wire covered. Ended up being way better than the Daily Wire version. Anyway, if you want to join my Discord, we've got about 9 of us in there. We're posting in there all the time, talking about news and politics and anti-politics and anarchism and posting memes and sharing crazy things that happen on the internet. That's all we do, man. And if you don't want to do that, just give me a like. That's all I ask. We're making things here. We're doing stuff. Got things happening. I've got like 4 videos that I'm working on. One of them is going to be released next week. And then the other ones, who knows. So, keep your eye out for that if you're a subscriber. Anyways, have a good one.